Good evening and welcome to Backseat Drivers number 39. It should be the Russell Ingall edition, but it's the second last one for the year edition instead.
Very clever name there, Dave.
I'd given up on the figuring out the driver numbers until I started announcing it and went, hey, Russell Ingall was always number 39. So, or he was for a long time. So there we go.
What are you going to do if we get to like season 3 and you have triple digit numbers?
Well, I'm not sure. Do we stay like then next year it will be,
season 2, episode 1?
Yeah, episode 1. Or do we continue? All the fans out there, let us know, would you prefer to see just the numbering system continue on and see how crazy this could get, or, maybe number them individually for each year?
This is basically a production meeting episode, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the preparation that we put into this show.
These shows.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, we do actually have like a Google share document or whatever where we type up notes during the week. But other than probably about 4 minutes beforehand while we're madly making drinks and things like that. That's pretty much the preparation when we're all together.
I've also already run out of drinks, and I ate all the shortbread in my partner's office. We're not.
We're skating on thin ice as it is.
We've already run.
All right. Max. All right. I do with the supercar sort of videos. I do label them internally as like 2022 episode 50 or whatever. So just so I can keep a bit of track of what's going on.
I'm glad we got that sorted out of the way. Now our show will run smoothly next year.
Smooth as butter.
Yeah.
So you're busy that night, eh? Well, so if we start our numbers each year, we may not get to those each year. So because that would be a couple of episodes each week. So news this week. We may as well do that before we go totally off the rails. Hey Lee, we haven't seen you for a while. Where have you been?
He's been waiting for the show to improve. Good news, Lee. It hasn't changed. We're no better and we're no worse.
Working. They've announced my favourite sprint weekends for next year. That announcement's just come out.
You love the sprint weekends, don't you?
Well,
you've said to me off air, you make a big deal about them, but secretly they are your favourite part of F1.
Now, I quite like the fact that, say, with supercars, that they, like Adelaide on the weekend, we had two 250k races. Bathurst, we have a 1,000k race. They go over to Perth, and over there we have 3 sprint races, and you get like that variation with a championship like that. And I quite like IndyCar. It's not like a set distance every weekend. They have their 500-mile oval races and they adjust and things like that. I like then F1. It's a set that's Formula One. It is the 300-kilometer race. As close as to that. You have your set qualifying for each race. That's it. FP1, FP2, FP3, qualifying, go into the race. I quite like that F1 has that. Now we have these odd weekends and I like the idea of the sprint race, but how it's just an arbitrary thing on random weekends. That's what I kind of...
Do you think, Dave, they are trying to appease the Drive to Survive and the newer audiences? Because without getting a 5-second penalty, a lot of other sports have also been moving into wacky formats.
I can understand because supercars does it, they chop and change all the time depending on the flavour of the day. And yet we both went to click the same one at the same time. I get that. it does give you an actual reason to watch. Like on Friday, you get a qualifying session, and then on Saturday, you get a race. Like it's something worthwhile watching. I just don't like the sprint is effectively the first 20 laps of the Grand Prix.
It does. I don't quite understand. I like this idea, an F1 endurance race, because that would be way more exciting. Because you would, I mean, obviously they don't want fuel stops anymore, but at least have something.
Well, see that you would then have to introduce fuel stops and things like that. But
Dave, an idea: 2 F1 cars. That way, you're never filling up on fuel.
They tried that in what is it? Formula E, and
but they don't need Dave. They don't need to replace any fuel. They just need to plug in the fast charger.
Yeah, well, in the first couple of seasons, they did actually where you had a second car and you drove into the pits, and then because guys were like diving across and injuring themselves and stuff, they actually you had a minimum minimum time that you had to sit there for. So the guys would be sat in the car and then they'd be ready to go, and you just sit there for like 15 seconds because, yeah. I don't know. I'd prefer it to be somehow spice it more. Like maybe the sprint is somehow like a reverse championship grid or something like that. Like we have normal qualifying that sets the grid for the race, and like maybe on Friday, the sprint is like reverse championship order. Like rather than say having practice 2, we do away with that and just have like some kind of random race that is totally different. Because I just feel that most of the sprints have felt like it is the first 15 and you're just kind of getting into the race and it's over. Whereas like say supercars, when they have a sprint race, it feels like a proper sprint race because it's at a smaller track or whatever, and then you have your mini enduros and things like that. Whereas the F1 sprints,
I think you should reverse. There should be some sort of thing where if you're a Latifi or a Canadian, you get to start at the front. There's just if you're a Canadian or a forgotten Chinese man, you should they should make it more interesting and put you at the front.
And then also, like as you have the sprints spread out over the year, like the next year they seem to be spread out a bit. Like they're not, you've got 6 over the season. So if you have one really, like say you have one round 2, that you're going to get a different jumbled up grid to say the one that you have at, round 42 or whatever we're at for, 2025, however many rounds we're going to have. Like, say this year you would have, Leclerc would have been starting last after the first round or whatever, whereas then Max would be starting last towards the end of the season. So that would jumble it a little bit over the year.
Do they have a qualifying thing for where they pick the sprints, or is it just out of a hat, basically?
I think there's a reason to it. Brazil's been there every time. So
I've noticed that.
As I read through the list, I was like, okay, Baku's new. They haven't done it in Austria. They haven't done it in Belgium. Haven't done it in Coda. Qatar's new. Oh wait, Brazil's back there again. So
well, I think Qatar, Dave. I don't know if you're aware of this. Qatar have a lot of money, so Qatar could do whatever they want. If Qatar wanted to have a race where you had to drive the car in reverse, and they didn't give you a reason why, I can tell you now, it's money. Qatar have come into a lot of money, and they like spending money.
They're not spending as much as what Abu Dhabi is, though, because they still got the final race. Well, I think
give it time.
Yeah, I think with Abu Dhabi, it's like your race fee is $100 million. And if you would like it to be the last race, it will be $150 million. And they go, who do I write the check out to?
Yeah, that's cool. We've got change left over for some other sporting event we can host now for all the money we have.
Yeah. Although we shouldn't say too much because Melbourne is paying for F2 and F3 to come out. next year as well.
But that's different, Dave,
yeah.
because we are 100% biased, so it's all right.
Yeah. Whatever, yeah. It's
Yeah.
if the government wants to spend money on Formula One and stuff like that, go for it.
You're happy with that?
Let's not get into politics too much here. But fuck me, do they waste a lot of our money? At least that is something I get out of it.
I was going to say you now have two favourite Dans if F1's brought to Melbourne.
Well, both have disappointed me this year. Probably one more than the other. Because I've come to expect a certain level from one of them. Whereas...
speaking of the one that can move really, really quickly, I think the more I look into it now, the more and more it does seem very likely that Dan probably did have a lot of options to move to another racing team and waited out for the Red Bull seat. Not even a seat, but basically just to be accepted into... it's like if you were accepted into university and you didn't get the course you wanted, but you were accepted into you can at least freely move around. I feel like he basically went, well, I'm at Red Bull, so I'm at least inside the office. And if I do, like if he was at Haas and they wanted to compare him, it's not apples to apples. Whereas if he's in a Red Bull car and he does well, like you said, and it turns out Perez is, trash, he's basically going to show them, well, last week I did this. How about I steal his seat in 24?
As I said all along, though, like he goes to Haas, he has to destroy Magnussen for anyone to look at it. Because everyone's
hard, right?
No, but destroy.
You mean a greater difference than if he did say, half a second better than Perez?
All he has to do is be a 10th faster than Perez.
Oh, and not even that much
with a shot. But because Perez is in one of the best teams at the moment, so he's proved himself that I can get a top seat. Whereas no team is looking at Magnussen's not going anywhere other than Haas.
He's not a benchmark, basically.
Yep, that's it. So he would have to do like what Russell and Albon did to Latifi. Like he would have to at least 15 times next year out qualifying and half a second plus kind of thing before any other team's going to go, hey, he's pretty good, we'll give him a shot. Whereas all he has to do is jump in the simulator and be a little bit faster than Perez, and Red Bull's likely to go, hey, well, we could chop and change him out.
Well, let's say that happens, Dave, and let's say 2024, they say to Dan, you know what, you're better than Perez. Do they give him another Dan special and give him a 2-year contract of millions of dollars?
No.
Or 1 year, or?
I would say it'd be a 1 year, and we'll pay you. It would be an amount, but it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be 20. It'd be like 5 million or something like that. Like as far as a Red Bull contract for someone at Dan's level, it would be chump change kind of thing. It wouldn't be a full blown.
But he would still be then back as being an F1 driver, which is probably what he wanted.
Yeah, that's it. And
as opposed to being paid 10 million at Haas and just pottering around.
Yeah, if you were going to get that money at Haas as well, with no results, like really in his position, like even $1 million at Red Bull to finish on the podium, he brings home more trophies. Like if you get $5 million at Haas,
you're not getting anything.
You might fluke a podium during the year, whereas at Red Bull, you're going to, you bring home multiple trophies, even if you do have to.
Yeah. I think it's one of those questions like, would you rather be on a championship winning team and paid practically nothing, or paid many, many millions of dollars just to be, an average, not even an average player, but just someone that you'll be remembered as someone who made a lot of money and didn't do much on the circuit.
He's already made his money now, so.
But I think he'd rather be remembered as at least that's, as a Red Bull Rubens that, helped Max win his third or fourth championship.
Yeah, And it's funny, like I was listening to Autosport podcast the other day, and they listed their top 10 F1 drivers for the year. And of course, Dan doesn't get a mention, whereas if he was in that second Red Bull, he'd probably be fourth or fifth even. I think Perez still got eighth or something like that. It's funny, you think back to 2014, it would have been. I think he actually got number one in that. When he won well, realistically, the Mercedes was that much, but he actually won 3 races that year. And I think he may have even won it 2016 or something like that as well. If not, there was a few years there where he's like top 2 or 3.
So, because he came third in 2014.
2014, he was third, and I think in maybe even 16 he was third as well. So,
yeah, is the reserve driver a part of the F1
catering cap? I'm not 100% sure on that because the drivers aren't part of but I'm not sure if that's just the 2. Because it's the 2 driver and the top 3 paid employees, but I'm not sure. Well, it's drivers and top 3, but I'm not sure if that's 2 drivers or.
So you mean there's 5? There's 5 people that are not part of the salary cap.
Yeah, so which then could well be Dan, but you'll probably find though Dan, because that'll be a weird one, that he'll be contracted to Red Bull marketing or whatever, not to the race team.
Yeah, I would imagine that because he's not really doing F1 most of the time, he'll be doing GoPro videos and shooting guns in Texas. And I think next year he's doing a motorbike adventure across America. So he's going to be busy.
And the marketing's not part of the budget cap either.
So no, that's a whole another department, isn't it?
And that was when they actually broke down, I think it was a Mercedes budget, because some of the teams have to, produce proper accounts and that. So I think I read an article where they'd actually broken down the Mercedes budget and say they spent $350 million for the year. When you broke it down and took out, Lewis and Valtteri's, Toto's, and whoever were the next 2 in line or whatever, took out all the marketing and things like that, I think it was like $180 million would have been actually part of the budget cap. So out of the 350, there was a lot of exclusion on it. And then, so it was like, you're not trimming 350 million down to 150 million. You're trimming 180 down to 150.
Also, we have no idea. Rob seems to be
pretty much. He seems to be taking part, but he's he's at work.
Yep. That's 100% accurate.
If anyone knows how to get in contact with him, love to have him on to have a bit of a chat.
Yeah.
So Dan, what went wrong?
And then we could have a F1 race with he could show us how to.
He could take part in the quiz next week with us.
He could. The questions are coming along.
Just to let you don't invite Seb
because
he's very good at F1 knowledge. If anyone hasn't watched it, watch the drivers try and name the previous champions, whatever that was called. It's on YouTube on the F1
they have
channel. And the drivers have to name it's reverse order, isn't it? So they have to name so that's Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and say his name 15 times, and then Nico Rosberg in there. Seb he basically he's reading off a book.
You've got to say Nico in equal machinery, or the points don't count.
Yeah.
If you don't say equal machinery, it loses all value of how good the win was.
I'm not sure about.
Well, there'll be an opening now that team Nico his left e-scooter, so they need a new.
Will he have left e-scooter championship?
I don't know
Because
if he.
Lewis has a rally electronic team.
Lewis has a lot of things though.
Extreme E.
Does he do? Yeah, but does he do anything with them though?
Oh, but, yeah.
Like I don't think he does.
Yeah.
He's got the Yeah, he's F1 team, but I think it's one of those things where he just sits in the background, and if they do well, probably jumps in.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure they won the championship.
That's how much nobody cares.
Yeah. Hashtag 44.
I mean, even Lewis Hamilton doesn't even know, because he would have said something at the end of F1. I may not have won, but at least my team did, and team is more important than the individual.
Except for when he doesn't win.
Except for when I win. When I win, I'm the greatest driver, and I had the worst car, and everyone was against me, and it's so hard being me, and you know, I'm the best driver in the world.
So are they fun news?
Yep.
Alex Palou named as McLaren's reserve driver for next year when he's not racing for Ganassi in IndyCar.
So
we're keeping going on that charade.
Yeah, I was going to say if they have him as a reserve driver, and then McLaren like, we need you because Norris has stubbed his toe or something. I assume you take the F1 seat over the IndyCar seat.
Well, no, because he has a contract with another team in IndyCar. So yeah, that was the big contract dispute this year, because he tried to switch to McLaren in IndyCar. While he had a contract with his current team, and his current team went, nope, you ain't leaving.
So he's a reserve driver, but there's a good chance that he might not be able to be the reserve driver.
Well, he's the reserve driver for the weekends that he can be, that he's not doing IndyCar.
Do they have a reserve driver?
Well, this is the problem, because last year they were pooling them. So you had Hülkenberg, who was available to all, like they did some Mercedes pool thing. So all the Mercedes engine cars could have Hülkenberg, Van Dorn,
I was going to say,
Nick de Vries.
Basically just sits on a chair all day, right? And he's just like keen to...
But he's now gone to Haas for some reason. Nick de Vries has gone to Toro Rosso, and Stoffel Van Dorn's been signed as the Aston Martin reserve and only Aston Martin. So all of a sudden that Mercedes pool that they had, where depending on who was doing what each weekend, they had a driver there that they could chuck in. And what's her name? Piastri. Renault had said that if you need a fill-in, you can use Piastri as well, if we're not using him.
Well, just a quick question, Dave. With the emergency drivers that I'm just looking up and remember, there's only last season, this one, there's only been 3 races.
Yeah.
Because Hülkenberg got to race twice for Vettel, but there's only been 2 drivers and 3 races in the 20-odd races. So if you're a reserve driver for any team,
there's been more of it in the last couple of years because of the COVID and whatnot, than probably what there had been over the last 10 odd years.
So what you're saying is that it's picking up. So if you're a reserve driver, there's more of a chance that you may actually get called up.
Yeah, probably revert more normal with it, because Hülkenberg's 2 were because of Seb getting COVID.
Yep.
And then De Vries was obviously the appendicitis with Albon.
Because in 2020, there were
chances of
more, like 2 more races. And that was a COVID.
But they were all COVID ones, weren't they?
I believe so.
Yeah. How many was there in 21?
21 even, there was only 2 by the looks of it.
Which were COVID-related ones, weren't they?
I think so. There was old Robert got to race twice, and that was it, actually. And then Kimi had to pull out at Italy. And then that was Kimi pulled out for one and then just didn't race for the other one. So there was more in 2020 and 2022 than there were in 21.
But then, like, if you go back through, like, Alonso sat out Monaco 2016, I think it was, because he did the Indy 500. And then I'm trying to remember, like, fill-ins. There we go. Because I forgot about.
Yes, that was the one in 20.
Yeah.
So 2016. Yeah. Oh, 2016 is when Dan was at the front, and he knew what a podium looked like.
It was Monaco 17, apparently.
Monaco.
According to our fact checkers.
Well, our other fact checker's not even here. Our sub-host Dave. I'm just saying, Dave. Contract renewals coming up. Just remember who showed up tonight, and the other two. I'm just saying. I would like another hat as my retention bonus, please.
Just on that, did you get the Caltex email this week?
I did get a Caltex email.
Confirmation that obviously they weren't prepared for how many people put their names down for a free hat.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone
I imagine that there was probably people signing up under multiple email addresses.
Let me read it. Here we go. Thank you for entering the Caltex guaranteed reward hat. Just keyword there, guaranteed. And for agreeing to join our mailing list. We'll get in touch with you to confirm if your claim is valid. If so, to let you know that your limited edition Caltex Techron hat will be provided, which I think is just marketing terms for you're not getting a hat. You are 100% not getting a hat. We had too many people that asked for hats. You don't deserve a hat.
Key thing here is, though, in a few years, I'll be able to do a Netflix special. Caltex, where's my hat? We can spread it out over like 4 episodes.
9 episodes, yep.
Yeah. Well, actually, by then, probably will be able to, and, we can have interviews and show footage of backseat drivers, how excited I was that I was getting
how
my
excited we were,
Castrol hat.
How we told people about our hat. Because I'm just going to think, I think I got an email that told me that I had my hat ordered.
I think that was original, like you have entered the competition or that, your hat will be sent.
Yeah, I may have deleted it, but basically it said, and it even says, Dave, guaranteed hat. I mean,
I wonder what the verification of that you exist or whatever is.
Well, I'm going to use this podcast as that I am.
Because I think there are people probably, typing in Santos El Helper.
Yep.
And
basically, it would be every email address you have.
It was tempting, but I did it because I'm like, well, what am I going to do with 8 Caltex hats? So I'm like,
every day of the week and a spare.
I will. Well, I've got a fair quantity of hats there, and I basically, other than on here, I always wear the same hat. So,
basically, yeah, I'm gonna.
I was like, I only need one for yeah. So
that's basically.
Yeah, I thought I won't be greedy. I'm not gonna, take them for it. Other people could have those ones.
We could, our viewers could each have a hat, and then hopefully, it'd probably a bit much to ask that it gets sent out by next week, so we have the quiz and everyone has a hat.
Yeah, I think if we do see them, it'll be a 2023 debut.
Yeah, season 1, season 2, episode 1, super hats.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of. I couldn't be bothered putting one on tonight, and I've got a couple of new ones still that haven't been.
Oh, we're saving them for season 2.
When I move into the new house, hopefully, I find some old hats.
Do you want to
be
update
exciting.
your viewers on Studio Dave updates?
It's really touch and go whether we're going to be in this year.
Oh,
It's going to be down to the wire. I suspect we'll be moving in without a completed house.
oh,
Yeah, I suspect we will have the keys this year, but there may be some things missing.
certain
Yeah.
like doorknobs, windows, ceilings.
No, that stuff's fine. A gas line to the house might not be there. So,
Dave, the internet doesn't run on gas. You don't need the gas.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure we are going to have internet.
Well, that's all you need. If you've got internet and electricity, basically.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're right on that. And the water just won't be warm. I'm actually thinking in the new place I'll put a bit of a shelf behind this and put the hats on the shelf.
Have a hat stand.
Yeah.
Like a fancy one.
Yeah. And we can rotate, because there's actually, over the last 12 months, I've actually bought quite a few.
So
and not
we might
spent
have
that much money doing it.
So we might have a special episode next year, Dave, just on hats.
We could, talk through, what they mean to me, how special they are.
I will start, Dave. This hat means to me, I had to spend $120 in a single transaction to get this hat. And then a friend of mine also wanted the hat. So I made two. I broke up the transaction in the Bunnings store. And I spoke to the woman and said, do you mind if I break this up so I can get two hats? And then she said, I could just give you two hats. You don't need to break it up. But by then it was too late and I'd already looked like an idiot.
So did they give you those for free if you spent that?
So you got them free if you spent like $100 or something, or $120 in a single transaction. But I had to buy some stuff from Bunnings that cost twice that amount. And I said, can I just do it in two separate amounts so I can get two hats? And then I think she did it. And then in the end, just realized I could have just given you two hats. Like, I do not care that much about my job to give you, any trouble getting the hats.
Yeah, my understanding with the way Bunnings treat some things, that their stock taking is probably, there's probably a lot of stuff written off at the end of the month.
Yeah, I think they're very, especially when you return stuff and they're like, we can only give you Bunnings credit. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm going to here to spend that Bunnings credit and more money.
The funny thing was, because like I've returned some stuff there and like certain things you're like, no chance. And they're like, no, yep, that's fine. Take that. Don't care.
Yep.
I bought a toilet seat. I got home and it was
where's this going?
It was the wrong connection or whatever.
Yep.
But because I'd opened the box and like it was in plastic, like everything was there. It's just that I'd opened the box or whatever. And I went straight back. So I'd had the thing for like, 15 minutes kind of thing. And I went back and I'm like, and I'm not sure. And she's like, no chance. And I'm like, I've had it for, hygiene, And she goes, toilet seat, no chance. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And she went, no. I went, well, what do I do with this? She's like, well, you got a toilet seat.
I
also,
think last
what pissed
week
me off more was because it's for this rental. And rather than because they don't come out to fix anything. So I'm like, well, obviously I've got to fix this myself. Yeah.
I
and
think
idiot
I
spends twice.
Yeah. I think I bought some plumbing equipment from a different Bunnings and then returned it to my local Bunnings, but did not have the receipt to show that it was purchased at a eastern suburbs Bunnings and not the northern suburbs. And they just went, yeah, sure, whatever, we don't care. We can only give you Bunnings credit though. I'm like, I'm here to spend more money at Bunnings anyway. Like half my salary goes to the mortgage and the other half goes to Bunnings. That's basically my life.
Well, that's what happens when you move into a new place.
Yep.
Which, I should just set up an account with them now.
Well, hopefully next year also I have a new studio that both of us can look quite professional, and then hopefully set up the fancy camera so we can be all the gear, no idea.
Well, there you go. That's half of YouTube.
That's basically isn't that what basically all of YouTube is? Just looking professional.
Oh, some people do it very well, but yeah. So some of the equipment that some people have. Yeah.
Well, maybe if we can get two of our hosts to come back more regularly. One of them's missing completely. One of them's at work, and they've left us here. Yep. Oh, yes. You definitely want to watch us in high definition because we get better.
So while we're not talking about F1 news, I've still got a couple of notes to get through.
I saw one of them, which boggles my mind, that they've cancelled China
already.
Have they cancelled it or just decided it's not going to be there? Like, because cancelling it this early seems suspicious. But if they've just gone, you know what, we've done some talking, it doesn't align with our values for next year.
Yeah, I suspect, there's a bit of a mutual thing going on there, and it gives them, because they want to replace it with something else. I think they're talking Portimao probably as the likely one, but yeah.
So it's not on. Oh yeah, it's completely removed from the.
Yep.
So they're still going to have 24 races.
Well, that's what they're planning. I'm like, well, do we really need to add that one back?
You reckon just get rid of it?
Well, it starts to blend a bit. That's the only. I mean, I'm all for racing. I'm pissed off that Supercars has only got 12 rounds next year, but
12.
F1 has 24. That's twice the amount of. That's essentially one every second weekend for the whole year.
Yeah, March to November. That's.
Qatar was already on the calendar.
So wait a minute. We still lost Vegas one. Did that replace an event, or did that just squeeze in?
No, that's an additional.
So they're going to have to find a new event to squeeze in. When are they squeezing in the new? We'll call it China 2.0 event.
Well, when China 1.0 was probably supposed to happen.
And when was China 1.0?
There might be a little. They were around round 5 or something like that. They were fairly early in the season, off the top of my head.
Because you've got Baku, that's the 30th of April, and then you've got Florida on the 7th of May. You're not really leaving much room for.
I think China was before Baku.
Oh yeah, because
I think they were talking about
China.
Yeah, I think they were talking about bringing Baku forward a week or something, and then slotting the other one.
Also, because now Melbourne's the third race, is that because we haven't paid enough for the opening race fee?
Yeah, because is it Bahrain opening?
Yeah, Bahrain and then Saudi Arabia, and not
also, But Bahrain, though, to an extent, because they go testing there. So I think the idea is, with them trying to be a bit more green and money efficient and whatever, they ship everything to Bahrain for testing, and then some stuff will go back to like England and Italy and that in between testing of the race, but they can leave a lot of the long haul stuff there.
And then then you go to Saudi Arabia, so it's not a big
trip. Yeah, and then Saudi would be paying fairly big dollars to have that second slot, I'd imagine.
It seems to
and I think Bahrain does pay for them to come and test there too, as part of their deal.
Also, again, this doesn't help Melbourne's cases, but you've got Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Baku, which are all fairly close to one another, and then in the middle of that, you've got Melbourne.
When you look at some of the crisscrosses, it's still
Like,
not
that I want more Melbourne opening race, but if you had Melbourne Open, and then you had those three races afterwards, you could essentially be more, what is it, E-friendly, small footprint.
I think the problem is at some point to come to Melbourne is a big deal.
Also, E-Scooter makes a good point. You could have an endurance race for the next one. 600 kilometers, and you have support.
No, he's talking about
wagons.
600 kilometers distance between the.
Yeah, and you have a race between them, and you have a support van that can refill the car while it's moving.
It's like drag week, where you've got to drive the drag car with all the spares to each of the drag strips. Yeah.
I think there should be a race that goes from, Saudi Arabia to one of the countries. How many kilometers?
While you work that out, I'll just answer this question quickly. I think partially because with the new cars that they're trying to keep the costs down to an extent, where the more rounds, the more it costs. And I'm hoping this is a blip for next year before they add in a couple more, because like Windsor and Queensland Raceway would be kind of low-hanging fruit, easy to add in to have a couple more extra events. But that when you look through the calendar, most of them are kind of those fixed events with government support and that you can't really say, oh, no, we're not going to go there next year. Whereas like Windsor and Queensland Raceway are always going to be there next year to pick them up. So hopefully it's only a bit of a blip thing, and the 12 is because I think that was the minimum for the TV contract.
Now, just finding the...
they're not opening in 23. I think it was 24 or something, aren't they? They get a couple of them scattered.
There we go, Dave.
I don't think you can just drive it either.
Yeah, it's 600 kilometers.
Can you just drive it?
Yeah, it looks like it's just road. And look, Dave, let's be honest. If two countries are going to be able to shut down roads,
they just do whatever they want. They'll just make a racetrack between them.
How long can you get on a if you drove an F1 car conservatively? How far could you get on it? Like kilometers?
Probably like 350 k's or so when the fuel tank runs out.
So basically, you have two pit stop areas for fuel.
I'm not sure because you put 11.5 kilometers between Baku and Australia. So
E-Scooter's still
yeah. I think it might be, what is it, 11.5 thousand kilometers?
Yeah, probably closer to that. So where's the Azerbaijan? Yeah, I'm gonna make a super.
If only we could kind of see like Google Maps on the screen or something.
That's a good point. All right, so Dave, I've made a new super circuit. It's basically you start in Baku, you do your race, and then you do a 2,900 kilometer gumball rally type race down into Saudi Arabia. You do your race there, and then you finish in Bahrain, and that's rounds 2, 3, and 4. Oh, hello.
I can't see anything going wrong with this.
This is not the best idea ever. I don't know what is.
Someone said you were 40 minutes in.
Rob's here for the golden time.
It's a strategic entry.
You are more strategic than Ferrari's pit boss.
I would have just needed some professionalism in the stream.
Well, Rob, we're already designing the Middle East Super F1 tournament.
Yes, we're is this going to be full of human rights violations and stuff?
No, don't worry about
let's
that.
not get into it. Yeah, just sweep that under the rug.
Yeah,
Let's
shush,
just
shush,
have
shush,
a road
shush.
where the soccer's going, and then we go back to
Are
it.
you gonna have to be already put in the sin bin? All right, so Dave, I've made a super circuit. We also go to UAE at the end of it, so it's just a giant
Perfect.
super circuit, and it's 6,000 kilometers. Can we get special off-road F1 tires like Red Bull have probably used?
Yeah. And anything's possible.
Then
They'll probably want to bump in the budget cap, though, to be able to afford the modifications.
How much are a set of tires these days?
Well, I don't think the F1 teams actually pay for the tires. I think they're just supplied by Pirelli.
Oh, okay. Well, then we can get a whole bunch of tires.
Yeah. Yeah, just get Pirelli to make them.
I'm just
But
going
so you'd probably have to modify the F1 cars to take tires like that because you want them a bit taller so that you go over bumps and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping they can just shut down the roads for us.
Could you imagine the Mercedes going down the freeway in Melbourne?
Oh, that's a good idea. Add Turkey into it. Could we, Dave? How about this?
I would like to see them go to Turkey. Like Turkey can become the new China.
So you reckon we start with Turkey?
Well, I just think that we go to Turkey instead of going to China. Regardless.
Okay, so no.
Just because Turkey's a better circuit than China.
But what's the weather going to be like when the China race was going to be on?
Well, it's not going to be on because they cancelled it because of.
Yeah, no, but that week they're going to have to fill a race field. What's the weather going to be like in Turkey then?
Well, who cares? It's still a better circuit.
I like how Rob just turns up here and just causes nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
Trying to get my light working. I think I'm flying on light. I've got some issues.
All right, here we go.
This is why me and Matt are getting new studios.
Yeah, because we're professional.
Yeah.
Over here.
I see the reflection in my windows getting really good now that the sun's gone down.
Oh yeah, good old daylight saving. And then Rob's just decided to film from his bat cave. Are you the host that we didn't want? It's just the host we deserve.
For some reason, my light's not working. It's been coming on while my computer's been off.
Did you remember to pay the electricity bill?
Did you not get the gas connected and your house is powered by gas lights?
Got to fill the lamps up this morning.
I'm not going to lie, Dave. I'm quite proud of my F1 Gumball Rally.
It's an idea.
Oh, and then South Africa. That's not a bad idea. It's a bit of a drive, though. Are there any more tracks in Africa, Dave, that I can utilize?
Well, you could do it within like Europe as well. You could have a second stage in Europe.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be some sort of like crazy super circuit, like an F1 endurance series where you've got to drive your F1 cars. But
and then you'll do like Montreal, whatever, Las Vegas.
America, all the Americas.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think which way around in the Americas. I'm not very good.
There's something like a Formula One car crossed with a stadium super truck. Like, 12 inches.
Oh,
perfect.
Wait, I just realized, don't they have like a Dakar rally that I'm just inventing, but longer?
No, we need Dakar anymore, but yeah.
Also, is there a F1 track in Oman? Or was there?
Don't think so.
Qatar?
Oh, Madagascar. Yeah, but Madagascar, you got to get there by boat. F1 Safari is a brilliant idea. I like where that's going.
What about Isle of Man? them race around there.
Well, that would be. Let's just go back to the Nürburgring, the proper one.
Well, we just do like time attack style racing around Ireland, and just just like wins over the weekend, and just sweep the bodies away when they're like they do with the motorbike riders.
I just thought of the greatest one, Dave. We have, I mean, to be honest, two of the countries can't really compete anymore. But if you had China and Russia, you could have a super long F1 super track. But I think Russia and China aren't going to be invited back anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that China would come back before Russia does.
Yeah, I think China has a lot better chance.
Because from what I've heard from other sports, Russia is trying to leave certain federations for other things because they're sick and tired of Europe.
Are they trying to leave, or have they been?
No, I think they're trying to. So without trying to get a penalty, basically, the people that walk into circular things and put them into the back of nets, they're a part of the European team, and they don't want to be anymore, and they want to join the Asian team, and so they're like, "Screw you guys, we're leaving." And I think people in Asia are like, "I don't know why you're here." So basically, they're trying to leave. Yeah, why don't we just have a super long in the off season, Dave? What does Lewis Hamilton usually do besides just tell everyone how better he is than you? I think there should be 1 month in like February before the F1 race where we just have like a London to Spain to Turkey super rally.
Well, it would then, I mean, rather than having, race every weekend, you could, you'd have footage every day. So it's just a constant news cycle of what's happening.
Also, Dave, I just thought of another great idea because I have been playing video games. In Dirt 5, you race different disciplines. I think the F1 should move from not just tracks to, like we had the ideas, F1 Safari. We should have snow tracks. We should have night tracks, day tracks, reverse tracks. That way, you get like 30 different tracks and you can change it up every year. You can have Melbourne at night in reverse. Then you can have Monaco.
Well, that could be an interesting idea for the sprints.
Yeah.
The sprints are in reverse.
There we go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Now we just got to send an email off to Race Control.
Yeah.
And they'll let us know.
Dear F1, have I got an idea for you?
Ideas at f1.com. Listen up. Here is a list that I thought of with my mates on our podcast. Yes, I would like to see. We could have, Dave, even just in between practice sessions, for bonus points, F1 drift. So people like the lower end people, in the mid table can get like a point for doing the best drift around a corner. And it just
that's something we very rarely see.
Drifting?
Yeah, in F1.
I think there's a good reason for that, Dave. It's not the
fastest way around a track. Yeah.
No matter what they told you in Tokyo Drift, Dave, it's not the best way to do anything.
I thought that was a documentary.
I think I think it's the documentary on Japan. How to get into a car park the coolest way possible.
One of my favorite YouTube channels, Low Budget Motorsport, they have a lot of figure eight racing in America where it's either like proper, like the big block oval dirt cars racing around in the figure eight, or just ship boxes with caravans on the back, or both. And they should do that. They should hook up a caravan to the back of.
I think they did that. Red Bull did that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but
that was just with normal cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think they were Aston Martins, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Could they hook a tow bar up to a F1 car? You reckon they should be able to do that?
Anything's possible. It's just whether they increase the budget cap or not for it.
You give them extra $80.
Yeah.
You
just get the local bloke to fit it.
Yeah.
I've never fitted one to one of these. She'll be right. I'll just use a kit for, use a kit for the Commodore. We'll adapt it. She'll be right, mate.
Can you weld steel plates to carbon fibre?
Yeah. Just weld it on.
The main Barry can do it for him. Or what was it? Oh, yeah. If they made the Formula 1 cars front wheel drive, they could do the skid plate racing where they put the metal plates under the back wheels.
The Macca's trays. We could have a Macca's tray competition.
It's not as fun when they put onto the front wheels. Well, it's fun for a little bit, but not before they get a corner.
I think there needs to be different events, Dave, each week at the F1 just to test out other people's disciplines. Like I think we've mentioned it before, sprinklers should have to come on during one of the practice sessions and just go multi-ball rain time.
Well, that would liven up like more than what I think the sprints do. Yeah. If we're going to go like full Netflix,
but
like really lean into it.
I already know that Pirelli can't make wet weather tires, so
well, they can. They're just called intermediates.
I wonder if they lose sales in countries that are very wet.
I do wonder if it is good for their marketing.
Yeah.
With and Seb coming out and calling them chocolate tires and things like that at times. Yeah. You do wonder if it is, because it would be costing them an absolute bomb with all the advertising, supplying the free tires, going and testing, and then people piss and moan because they've F1's asked for degrading tires and they give them tires that fall apart.
Yeah.
And then the driver's like, oh, these Pirellis are shit. You're like, thanks, guys. That's what we were asked to make.
Yeah, Dave, is there any chance that they can just make a tyre that doesn't need changing and last an entire race?
Yeah, well, 2005, they had tyres that went the whole race because they decided that would be an idea. So they still had Matt, go and do yourself a favour, go and watch a race from 2005 when they pull into the pits. And there's still like 20 guys stood around the car and they put the refueling in and there's like 5 guys looking at each tire and all they're doing is refueling and the other guys are just stood there like looking at it and then the car drives off once it's filled up with fuel. Because they weren't allowed to change the tires.
That would be the best time to be a pit stop guy.
It looks so ridiculous.
Oh, wait, I've just got a video now. Montreal 2005 pit stop. They're pulling into the pits, and this guy's he's looking at the tire. He's pointing at the tire, going, "Yep, that's a tire. It's round."
Yep.
Basically, his hand was up as soon as the car pulled in.
Yeah, because you can't. You realistically you couldn't change them anyway. I think you could only change them if you had like one of them was flat or something.
But basically, he's sitting there on his knees. Like, he's put a lot of effort.
Yeah.
He's gone in and gone, I'm already done.
Yeah.
I'm the best.
Looks good.
That is really weird.
Yeah. So that only lasted for one season.
What year was that?
2005. And the weird thing was because they were still refueling. Like if you took away the refueling and the tyres had to last the whole race.
Yeah.
But at least
I understand.
At least they had to pit stop.
Yeah. So they still had to pit.
What are you telling your pit crew? Like if you're the boss and you're like, hey Matt, I know how you've been training in the off season to like get massive and now you can lift a tyre above your head and you're like you can pick up 4 tyres at once. I've got some good news, I've got some bad news. The good news is you're gonna get paid a lot more to do a lot less. The bad news is you have to look like an idiot on TV. I need you to
It's okay though because you got a helmet on, so people can't tell
so no
who
one
you
will know
are.
no one will know it's you. But you need to go stand next to it, sit down on your knees, and do the full like maneuver, but not do anything. In fact, you're not even allowed to hold the tool. You're just going to go out there and be like, done.
Yeah.
That is the strangest footage.
I'm watching Kimi Räikkönen versus Chrissy Heller, the British GP. And the pit stops are just almost pointless apart from a bit of fuel. And like there's no excitement as they come out on cold tires or anything. It's just you have to up the stamp and off they go. Good on Burns. Was this
in video game, Dave, they were sad. Now I want to buy F105 on a console so I can make people not change my tires.
Why was it they had a flat?
Well, if you had a flat, you could come in and change the one that was flat. But
what if it started raining?
Then they could put wets on.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it had to be deemed wet or whatever. Yeah. So, but there was where Kimi had in the European Grand Prix, the tyre exploded and blew the suspension off the car when he was in the lead because he flat spotted earlier in the race and the vibration just got so bad. Oh, actually, it exploded the suspension.
Is that video of the Red Bull with both front wheels falling off at the same time the greatest video ever?
That was pretty, yeah. What was that though? That was about 2018 or something. It was a Toro Rosso.
I can't stop watching
I think it was
them now,
Jeff
Dave.
in.
They're just, you've got to watch it like 3 or 4 times to really understand that there's like 10 people acting as mimes who are pretending to be pit crew. Like I'm doing it now. I'm just.
It looks ridiculous. Yeah. Like they just stand there and don't do anything.
Well, there's one now where they're doing Barrichellos, and there's 3 of them, and one of them's literally pointing to the top of the tire, going, "That's rubber. Check out that compound."
I think there was something as well, like you weren't allowed to actually touch them unless.
No, he's just
damage.
pointing.
Yeah,
he's basically pointing to the top of it and just going, "Hey, Dave, check it out. It's a tire." Anyway, he's off. I've earned my, however much I get paid for the.
Well, the pit crew people do get a bonus payment.
They've stuffed up this one.
Did I ask last week?
This is the strangest. It's Dave. It's almost like I feel like F1 was just taking the piss in 2005. They're like, we feel so for the pit crew. 2004 was a hectic.
It was partly because Ferrari dominated in 2004. So they're like, how do we stop Bridgestone and Ferrari being so good? We'll change the rules and fuck things up for them.
But it just seems to be like comical. Hooray! Look, I'm either cheering for Blake or I've just finished changing a tyre in 2005. That's I now know what I'm watching tomorrow, Dave. I'm watching all of 2005 in review, and I just want to see pit changes.
Then watch the Kimi in the European Grand Prix. It would have been at the Nürburgring. That was a.
Here we go. Suspension failure. This looks exciting. I will.
How could people be born in the 2000s? How is that a thing?
Blake, you're making us feel really, really old. 2002, I was sitting in a class, pretty much doing this, but not being filmed.
I think I've known that you two about as long as that.
I was gonna say I think I met you in 2002.
Yeah.
1 or 2.
It would have been around that. Oh
I
God, I think it just got worse.
Oh, gee, Max.
Max is
Yeah.
even.
I think in 2006 we were at Richmond watching cars at the Coles car park, Dave. Remember off Chapel Street?
The old chat flaps days.
Jeez, we're old.
Yeah.
I actually asked all my workmates today who's not into cars or anything at all. I asked him if he'd ever done a chat lap, and he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Isn't that what everyone did, even if you didn't care about cars or just nothing to do?"
Yep. You did chap laps and then you went to the top of that car park and you looked down onto the
I watched all the other cars
Yeah.
doing laps.
I still remember that mustard coloured Monaro with the license plate Mustang. I know with some mustard because I kept seeing it around as well.
Got your Kenwood 7x10s on the parcel shelf.
Oh, jeez.
I wasn't that fancy. I only had 6x9s.
Did you cut the metal out of the parcel shelf to fit them? Like every other Commodore or another?
It was already cut out.
I thought VL Commodores came stock with 7x10s.
Didn't they come factory with them already cut out?
Yeah, they came cut out by someone with an angle grinder in the factory.
Oh, it was shocking how badly all of them were cut out. Like no one did it. It was
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm pretty sure Parody Australia was the reason that people stopped buying 2.9 because there was just absolute hate for them on there, and anyone who got on asking if they wanted them, if they could get them, it was like no. It's so good though. I love mine.
Yeah, it was fun back in those days. You can't do fun stuff like that anymore.
Nah, because you can't even well, everything's all interconnected now, so you can't even replace the head units of stuff. The steering wheel's all connected to the head unit stuff, and if you replace one thing, it complains.
I know people who still work in that industry and doing very well in it.
Really?
Yeah. One of the guys I went to high school, Dave, in the 90s, Max and Blake, the olden days, he has a workshop near my Bunnings and still does engine conversions and stuff.
Oh yeah, I would have thought that like the car audio and that side of things would have really died off though.
I think people still want DVD players in their cars though, and you don't have an iPad.
Yeah, true. Yeah, adding and I suppose like reverse cameras and stuff like that. Yeah, I just remember like when I bought that last VL, I went into JB and I'm like, I need a head unit for my car, and they kind of looked at me like, "What's that?" And they were like, you used to go to JB and it's like there's 700 to choose from. And
there was
like,
a
right, you have an
and
option
there was buttons you could
like
select.
3. Yeah. And I was just like, and I need some 4-inch speakers. And they were like, well, we have these. And I'm like, where's the like 700 for me to choose from?
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
Because you could connect it up, Dave. Remember, you could pick the head unit with the speakers.
And the speaking. Yeah.
And then you test,
And then you get the big subwoofers and
and you'd put that in the boot, and then it'd take up all your boot space.
Yeah.
And you'd have the amp at the bottom, and then you'd have perspex over the top, so you could show off your amp. And now you can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the date the oldest amp came out. I reckon it's older than most of the people in the chat at the moment. It's got to be 30 years old at least. I'm surprised it's not going to cost
older than some people here.
Yeah.
But you can still buy car amplifiers, Dave.
Yeah. It seems to still be popular. I just don't know anyone who does it. I like my boot rooms so much. I'm love a pair of clothes in the back of my car, but also Korea people are really expensive these days. They've actually realised that they can judge. You can't afford their work.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that still does. I don't think my car will even accept a new head unit.
The problem, like everything's so integrated that you can't really fit them in.
Here we go. My oldest amp I have in my collection is from 1993.
Wow.
Yeah. Still works perfect. I should install one day. I need an old part of building.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm not rich enough to go.
Oh, you can buy head units for cars, but yeah, they're not cheap.
The last car I had aftermarket head unit, aftermarket front speakers, and a small sub in it. The big 5-channel lamp that took up one of the back seats that I removed. I had to make it dog friendly. I had to make sure there was plenty of room to get the dog.
Buy a more suitable car.
Oh, I could do something sensible.
Buy a sensible car for sensible time.
I sent you the sensible car that I want.
Anyway, I'm getting towards my bedtime.
I'm going to continue working on the
Is everyone ready for the super quiz next week?
You can never be ready.
I'm ready.
Well, I'm excited.
Look, I'm going to tell you now, Dave. They're F1 questions and F1 adjacent questions. So much like when Booby found out last time we did this, they're not going to be. Not all the questions are going to be like who won the Monaco Grand Prix in 1947.
Right. I like thinkers.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll leave it there.
We'll reconvene next week for the quiz.
Rob,
the
thanks
Christmas
for
party.
showing up on time.
I'll be here next week.
At least he made it.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, our resident sim racer hasn't even started sim racing and didn't even make it here. So
True.
I don't even think, Dave, he's going to be your fourth driver. Your backup's backup.
We might have to find.
Yeah,
send your resumes in, dave@supercarstalk.com.
Yeah, if your resume just says I want to be on show, that will already put you in front. In fact, you might even replace us with that kind of quality resume.
It's more than possible.
If you can spell your own name, you're probably ahead of Rob and myself.
Oh, they seem to be spelt right on the whatever it is, the little name.
I looked it up on the internet beforehand.
I know. Because it's all in reverse. Anyway, on that note,
See you all.
Good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, pretty much.
See ya.